one of your songs, "Are You Not Entertained?"
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of Gladiator, and I'm not saying there's any influence, but was there any influence?
Yeah, it's so funny. We were in Newport when I recorded that in Newport Beach.
Yeah.
And I was with my creators.
You're listening to Studio 22.
Welcome to Studio 22. I'm your host, Will Meldman, here with my co-host, as always, Brock O'Hearn.
As always, here I am.
How you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good. We are here with the amazingly talented artist, Luck.
Hi. Hey
welcome.
What up?
How's it going? Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, no, thank you for inviting me into your home. Yeah, this is lit.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate you coming and chatting with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, happy to have you. So your background is originally and still music.
Yeah. I've been making music or singing at least all my life since I was, 5. Was jumping up and down in my bedroom, screaming to the top of my lungs. I was the middle child, the loud, crazy one. And then all of a sudden, some of those yells started connecting into real songs. And my parents were like, wait a minute, what's going on? So they were always super supportive and exposed me to a lot of really talented, other musicians and within the family and also just in the community. And yeah, they got me going super young. But like I was saying to you earlier, I didn't really become an artist until I think when I left my parents' house and went into the world and started living my life and bumping my head a little bit. That's when I developed a real perspective and could call myself a real artist. So yeah, music has always been the background, but yeah.
But
the journey has been real.
Yeah, and it started as a true passion, right?
Yeah,
that's
for sure. I mean, luckily, at a young age, I was able to find that. And it wasn't, I was always a super sensitive kid, so, I knew that it, the glamour of it all is cool, but there was something else that was calling me to whatever my purpose towards music. I remember one day I was at an open mic night in New York with my aunt at the time, and my aunt and uncle, they're super corporate, she's talented too. She plays piano and all that stuff, but she's very straight and narrow. They're like, this is what it is. Go to school, go do this, do that, and have a good life. So anyway, we were at an open mic night in New York at Ashford and Simpson's Club. Ashford and Simpson, for those who don't know, they wrote the whole Motown.
Oh, wow.
I'm Every Woman, Ain't No Mountain High.
Yep.
Never heard
Classics,
of it.
Yeah, gajillion records. Anyhow, so they have a restaurant on I think it's 72nd and Broadway in New York, and I was there 15, 16 with my aunt and my family, and they had a host up there he was there every Thursday night, bringing in the different artists to sing, and it's New York, so it's you get on that stage, you have to blow. It's Thursday night, you might see Alicia Keys pop up, and then you'll see some random girl from Harlem or from Jersey that drove all the way down to sing on that stage, right?
Yep.
But my aunt asked me, she was pointing to the host, and she said, how much do you really love this? Would you be satisfied? Would you be fulfilled, I guess, if you had his job? If you were singing every night at, an open mic night, on Thursdays, Wednesdays, whatever. And it's funny because she asked me that in that moment, and it hit. I didn't fully understand. It was a loaded question. I did understand because I'm this feels what are you asking me here? But at that moment, I definitely stopped. I paused and I looked at him, and I saw so much joy, oozing from him. Every single Thursday that we would pull up, we all experience the same thing. So, And I said it after maybe 2 or 3 seconds. I was like, hell yeah, like I don't, again, the glamour, all that stuff is fun, but like I'm here because it chose me,
Right.
So whether it's singing every Thursday at open mic night, or playing stages with 50 people, one person, or a whole stadium, as long as I'm doing what I love, and then I'll be totally fine, totally fulfilled.
And that question kind of like almost forced you to think about it,
Yeah.
right? And be like, do I really want to do this?
Exactly. Like,
Yeah.
is this really who I am, or am I just excited because like I watched a Mariah Carey video yesterday and and wanted to do the same little dance, or it made me really go.
Introspective.
It made me go soul searching in like 3 seconds at like 14.
That's great.
It was good. It was good. Yeah.
The way I kind of look at that stuff too is like, on my first job, a little older than 14, it's kind of like, do you have it in you to like wake up at 4 a.m. and go do this? And it's like in golf, like you'll only get better in golf if you enjoy the struggle, right? So like any industry, any job, there's stuff that comes with it. And it's like, do you love it enough in order to deal with what comes with it? And that's kind of how I look at it, right?
Yeah.
And it sounds like you kind of made that choice pretty early. You're like, I definitely do.
Yeah, no, for sure. I do. I'm glad that you said that. I remember like maybe like 5 years ago when I fully like stepped into this new version of myself that like everyone gets to experience now, because I didn't always have my head on straight. I think that it's important to give your all and to go a 1,000 miles per hour at whatever it is that you love and whatever it is that you believe in. But I do think that it's important for us to share the good news of just loving on yourself and not idolizing whatever you believe your purpose is, or idolizing like whatever that goal is. Like if you're gonna idolize anything, idolize like the seed, the higher seed that's been placed inside of you in the first place, to even understand that like you were called to something. Like I think it can be really dangerous when you put your goals before you.
Yeah.
And for the longest time I did that, so meaning just like not creating space for myself, not like just chasing something, just because you're supposed to, or just because like what your parents told you, or the American dream. Like, no, work
Yeah. And work some more.
until you see it pay off. But it's like you do have to stop for a second and check in and just really make sure that you're good, so that you can be anything for anyone else, and also just for what it is that you're doing.
Yeah, I think that's such great.
You're called to.
Yeah, it's such great advice too, because the road to success, like, it's never the road you think it's going to be, right? And it takes you on all these different paths, right? So if you're sitting there and you're not getting where you want to go, or you're not there as quick as you want to get there, right? You're going to lose sight of yourself. You're going to lose passion. Sometimes resentment gets built up, but that advice of telling people to check in, right? Or even telling yourself to check in is invaluable, because then you wake up every day, you still love it, and
Right.
I think it's so crazy how, especially for an artist, you might want to get there, but that might not be where you land, and like you're saying, that guy who was hosting, he obviously loved his life, right? And maybe that's where you find your true happiness, because the idea of being, whatever whoever you idolize or whatever that image of yourself that you idolize, maybe that isn't what was actually for you, right? Maybe you shooting for that actually led you to where you need to go with the people you need to be with and making the music that touched the people that they needed to hear the way they needed to hear it, you know?
Yeah.
I really love that because
That's real.
I feel that too, you know, like even on my own journey of I will be so hyper-focused on that where I'll lose a year of myself trying to get to that dream. And I'm like, damn, I'm still not there. And what did I sacrifice in that in between, right? Did I truly enjoy the journey the entire time, which is the whole point of it all, you know?
Right.
Like, we're here now. We got to enjoy this moment, you know?
Yeah, man. That's so good. That's so good. But it's when your natural inclination is to I don't know, let's say like you're just like an overachiever or you just want to be the best, not necessarily like in competition with other people, but you know what's inside of you, you know? So like constantly just in that fight with like, I guess like with yourself, just trying to what?
You really want to be the best version of yourself.
Yeah. But I think it's more so like it's I always say that my worst fear is managing my humanity and my divinity. And I learned that in the past 3 years. That's been like heavy on my heart. And it's almost, I mean, it's a fear, but it's also, I think it's a good fear because it keeps me, you know, accountable, and it keeps me just like, it makes me check in with my spirit. So, you know, if my spirit's ever getting agitated, it's like, okay, wait, you know, you can trust yourself, trust that intuition, figure out what's going on, because right now you're showing up as the older version of yourself, or just like you're showing up and doing certain things that you maybe lessons you've already learned. So just constantly check in that way. But tying that back to what we were saying a second ago, I just think that it's important to kind of just like live or try to live in the divinity, because if not, you'll be putting a lot of things before yourself, and you'll just miss out on the bigger picture, you know?
Yep.
You'll miss out on like, I don't know, like, you know, whatever gems was there for you to find in the first place. Like how you said, you'll go a whole entire year and then say, okay, like what did I miss? I don't know. I just think that if we spend the time focusing more so on managing the humanity and the divinity, we will actually be light years ahead of not everyone else, of ourselves. Like, we'll actually be able to see what's in the next dimension for real. Yep. And sometimes, you know, our purpose moves into the next dimension. You know, you're too busy stuck in you know, the last dimension. It's like, you've already accomplished that. You've already came, you saw, you conquered, like you've realized.
And become enlightened. And,
yeah.
And I love that divinity spiritual angle to all of it too, because like, if you look at the words, like the derivative of the words enthusiasm, in theology, study of God and religion, and inspiration, in spirit, right? Like they didn't know what to call that force. So they basically just said it was God, right? Like it was divine. And like, I love talking to creatives because you've mentioned it a couple times now, right? Of that spiritual connection.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you mentioned like planting the seed and where does that come from? And I'm so intrigued by that process and what it all means, because I think, you know, creativity is a blessing, and like trying to harness it when it's there. And it's a interesting process that I like to deep dive into and hear from other people on.
Yeah. And to piggyback off what you said, I think it's also important to be comfortable in whatever, like when you're trying to get into that creative space, like lean into the uncomfortability of like, I don't know, not feeling like you're in that most like heightened, you know, creative space or whatever, because usually that's where all the real gems lie. So that once once you're open to create again, you'll be able to, if you're journaling and all that jazz, like you'll be able to go back and like apply all of those lessons to whatever it is that you're called to create next, you know?
Do you mean like finding times and ways to be creative even if lightning isn't striking? Like that type of thing?
Right. Yeah. And just leaning into being a little uncomfortable, you know,
Yeah.
even if it's not coming, it's actually there. Like what you were talking about, just being in the moment and, you know, not judging yourself for I don't know, you know, just not being able to perform the way that you did last year or last week, you know?
Yeah.
I'm curious, how does tapping into that divinity affect your process in creating? Like,
Oh, it's my secret weapon.
Yeah.
Like for real. It truly, truly is. I think that ultimately, like we were all born with like gifts and stuff like that. That's why I said earlier when you said, you know, how long have you been doing music? Like I've always been able to sing. I've always like, you know, been pretty gifted in that space, but a lot of people can do that, you know? A lot of people can sing, but again, I didn't fully develop a real, like my pen game didn't get strong until I tapped into the divinity, until I like took a step back to understand where I've been and where I'm going, how I can like make all of my experiences and my influences, how can I like make it unique to me, you know? So so it's definitely helped in that area just to like help me understand who I am and what all this has been for in the first place, you know? So and it's helped me to lean into to be okay with like my fears and my inadequacies or my doubts and all of that. Like it's shown me that the things that I thought would count me out is the thing that I would be like carrying, you know,
We're
and
so
that would
hard
work
on ourselves,
for
right?
my good. Yeah, it's honestly wild.
As human beings, we're incredibly hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
And it's tough dealing with that sometimes.
Yeah, it can be, but it's I think as long as we're disciplined, I've been talking about that a lot lately. I think discipline is true freedom, and when I'm not disciplined, that's the danger zone, you know, because you know, again, the agitation of the spirit starts to happen, and then I don't feel like I'm in my body anymore. I can't hear anymore. I can't hear the divine. I can't hear what's next or where I'm supposed to go. And I know that, you know, because I've been able to taste flight, because I've been able to taste it and I've experienced it and I saw what the outcome was from just like diving into that. Yeah, that's the fear of it all. Again, managing the humanity and divinity. It's like, no, I got to live in this space, but it's that's hard. But you know, as long as you're disciplined, then yeah, like I said, it's this real freedom. Like you'll be safe there. Yeah,
well, now you know why I named my app.
Yeah, I was saying that the whole time.
You know what?
I created a fitness app I've been working on for almost a year now, and the name of it's Discipline. For that exact reason, though, you know. And it really is a freedom that when you put your foot down and get to work and do the things you know you're supposed to, not the things you want to do, it opens you up to get that freedom, to get those results and get where you want to go. So
yeah,
I love that you're saying that. And you did mention influences as well. So I'm curious, what have been some of your biggest artistic influences?
Oh yeah. I believe, I don't know if I said this earlier, but again, I grew up in we grew up somewhat in the South, but like, so those Southern influences.
Where in the South?
In Virginia.
Okay.
Yeah, so Connecticut is where I was born. I was born into definitely a Northern New England family, but we moved to Virginia So I went to like middle school and high school out there.
Okay.
But you know, my parents are African American, and I would go home and I'd hear Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder, Michael Jackson, you know, Stephanie Mills, like all these random, not random, but like Stephanie Mills is kind of random for, I'm sure, for some folks, but like just pure rhythm and blues, right?
Yeah.
So that soul element was deeply rooted as soon as I came out the womb. And then I would go to school and I'd be with my friends and, you know, listening to older records like Nirvana and like Avril. I loved Avril. I was just like Avril in the middle of my floor in my bedroom crying for no reason. Like, Avril, awesome. I feel you, girl. And I'm also, I was a musical theater geek.
Nice.
Classically trained in opera. I went to school for that also. Ooh. But so that's a heavy influence too. But honestly, in the beginning, like especially right after I dropped out of college, I was a little confused. I was definitely confused because I was like, oh my God, all of these things, all these influences, like, you know, who are you?
Yeah.
And I knew deep down, but the world was always super loud when it came to, oh, okay, well, you know, genre this or
who you're supposed to be.
Yeah. Where'd you grow up and like, you know, where'd you grow up? Was it because depending on where you grow up, the sounds, you know, of the South, of the North, you know, it's all very specific and like
Seattle, with Nirvana,
yeah. So like, I didn't really have that because, you know, we moved around a lot, and I definitely, you know, again, all of these things was a part of my identity, and I was always really proud of it, but. I think I just got a little confused in terms of just like, okay, well, how do I make this my own? So moved to New York and started writing music, lived life a bit. And I developed, I really started leaning into it and started developing a sound, definitely a new language. And obviously the world, I think, is definitely ready for it now. They've already started. Everyone's genre bending, you know, within like the last, like, I don't know, five years or so.
Even in film.
Yeah. And I think that's also because of like the world's so much smaller now because of social media and all that jazz. So that's really cool.
The track "Leave Me" is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
So speaking of genre, I mean, you definitely, it's really fun listening to your stuff because you kind of bounce around genres, right? But that, like, the soul is there in all of it, but you kind of play with different things. So it's interesting to hear you talk about that because I feel like it's evident in your music, which is great. Which genre would you say kind of like defines you the most? And I know this is like the opposite of what we're talking about because like the world tries to put you in a box and we don't want to be in a box, but it's like, how would you define it?
I think it's just like hip hop and rock and roll. Rock and roll is soul. So I don't even need to say soul music, you know, like
and blues too. Like Steve Miller, he plays a couple blues tracks at every show. Yeah. Muddy Waters was like his godfather.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Muddy is a fucking legend. But
sorry.
No, it's good. But I think that has been, you know, when people ask me that. They're like, okay, but if you could just narrow down, make it simple for the people. It's a good question because I sometimes with all the different layers, you know, I could like try and say, oh, but this and this influence and that influence. But even for me, it's when I have to break it down, it truly is. It's hip hop and rock and roll. You know, because I rap too. I don't consider myself a rapper. That's what I said earlier. I'm just an artist. I just do what I feel. You know, but it's a blend of of those things. But again, you'll hear opera elements in that record that I have called "Don't Sweat." Like I go into that at the very end,
which is so impressive. Operas, like I obviously don't know much about it. All I know about it is that it's like incredibly hard, and you got to be really good to do that.
Yeah.
So props to that for sure.
Thank you. But yeah, that's how I would define it.
Cool, yeah.
Hip hop and rock and roll, baby.
Was there one of your songs, "Are You Not Entertained"?
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of Gladiator, and I'm not saying there's any influences, but was there any influence?
Yeah, it's so funny. We were in Newport when I recorded that in Newport Beach.
Yeah.
And I was with my creators, Jackson, my fellow creators, Jackson and Vanessa, and my sister too, my sister Raven. And Jackson had sent me that beat actually, like maybe 2 months before that camp. And I'm definitely one of those folks, like someone will send me something, I'm like, I love that, but I don't want to touch it right now because, well, you know, why touch it? Touch it when you feel called to it, and when the creative is fully in you, and it can just burst out and come out in 2 seconds, you know. So I took my time with that one, and so funny we're writing this song, and my sister comes out and she's like, I'm calling bullshit. And then she's like singing that over and over, and then I'm like, all of us are just running around in circles, and I'm like, are you not entertained? You know, because like I said it in a way where I definitely inspired by Gladiator and just like all of those, just all the old medieval movies. Love it. I feel like I was reincarnated. I was back. I lived back there in that time at some point. Oh yeah. But I digress. Yeah, no, that song in particular though is definitely a song for the underdog, because at that time I had just got signed, and for the longest time I have always felt internally, you know, just like maybe, you know, like the underdog, unseen, not really heard, also having my own inadequacies and fears and all that stuff, but also the projections of like the world too, right? So, but at the end of the day, it's like, no, I know I'm gifted. I know I'm oily. I know I have a real perspective. I have something to say, you know, and it's like, you gonna get this work. Are you not entertained? You know, like that's basically what he was saying too. In the middle, he's around like what else do I have to do? Right?
Yeah.
So essentially that's what it's about. And yeah, I love performing that record. That's like literally my favorite record to perform, because it's the most rock and roll, the most you know, the record where I can just like not give a fuck about
rock
what
out,
anyone thinks.
Hell yeah.
It doesn't matter what comes out. It's a feeling, baby. I don't know what to tell you.
That's amazing. I love hearing that.
It's awesome. It definitely comes across the music too, and it's just like, it's like you put your foot down and I'm here, you know?
Yeah. It's affirming, and that's what I want to do through the music. I want to affirm other people, because it took me a long time to get here, and sometimes someone needs to make it plain for you. You know, it's hard to shut down the voices in your head. And I know for me, at least, music and entertainment, films in general, have allowed me to do that. It's allowed me to turn and go back within and say, okay, you know, what's going on? Why am I attracted to this? And if you are, usually it's because it's a reflection of what's already in you. You know, someone just needs to massage that a little bit. And
speaking of affirming other people, like we love talking about like the entrepreneurial process and trying to give advice for people out there, right? What would you say to a young and up and coming artist, like what to focus on? Like what would be your advice to someone?
I think focus on identity. Identity is like so important. And just and even if you haven't fully figured that out, because that's also that, I feel like if someone would have said that to me at like 16, I'm like, I know who I am. Right. What does that even mean? Like, I want to play football. I want to do tech. I know. But But focus on identity and ask yourself why. Whatever it is that you're doing, you need to know your why, because it's gonna get really, 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 really hard. So if you know whose you are and who you're not, it can help you to navigate through the normal obstacles that you're going to face when you're trying to, take over the world, or when you're trying to do anything great. Or if you call yourself to leadership, you need to be able to obviously know who you are, but also just multiply the things that you've been given. And the only way to do that is to, like I said, just tap into your identity and know why you're here and why you're doing it. So that's super, super essential. That's literally that's what saved my life, because I believed that it was my purpose, but I still hadn't checked into, if someone asked me, who are you? I couldn't really answer that question. I thought I could until you're put on the spot. Then so tell me. And you're like, oh wait, wow, maybe I don't know. Why am I doing this? So I think that that's extremely important. And then also, the other side of it is, once you know who you are and who you're not, to stay anchored and do everything that you can to keep your heart posture intact, and it should be a full reflection of however you're showing up, and then also whatever you're attached to, because it's easy to waver. It's easier to waver when your back is against the wall and you're forced to make a decision. And usually whatever decision comes out of you is what's in you, and you don't want to be on the front line not knowing what's in you,
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, I moved around a ton growing up, even high school. I moved around I switched high schools 9 times. You speak about identity, and I found so many people who grew up in the same town, in the same schools, all the same friends, right? You embody who you're around, whether we like it or not, Yeah, that's why they say, tell me your 5 closest friends and I'll tell you your trajectory, right? Your path. And what I found was, I'd get in these cliques and I'd start dressing more like these people, or I would start listening to the same music or this, and then I would move schools, and then it'd be flipped, it'd be something totally different. I have to start all over again. But what I found through that line of all that is, being an artist since I was young, I gravitated and brought things with me along the entire path, right? So I brought skateboarding and surfing and painting and music, and I just kind of kept transferring it as I went. That was a line through me the whole time. And then I got this job out of high school where I ended up hiring my brother, actually, and moving houses and hauling junk. And there was this professor one time where he had this insane backyard filled with junk, and it had probably 10,000 plus spiders in there. My brother didn't want to touch it. And I was like, dude, we signed up for a job. We told him we're going to do it. I'm going to do it regardless if you help me or not. We did this whole job. We go to the front door, and when I found out this guy's a professor, I said, do you have any advice for me and my brother, or anything you'd like to share with us? And he said 2 things to me, but the one thing that I'm going to share now is that he said, bring your own uniqueness into the world. And that stuck with me, because I had college footballs, teams and schools looking at me. I'd never even played football. I was just a big guy, right? And I didn't grow up with football, so I was like, I don't know if this is my path. I'm very athletic, but
I wish you were on my high school football team.
I tried to play, and then I'd move, right? So I never got stuck in any of those things. And what I found was, as I was going to school, I think you mentioned dropping out, right? I was 2 weeks in, and they gave me this list of jobs, and it was like the best one. I was like, I'm gonna find the best thing, highest paying. Let's see what we got here. Be a doctor, 8 years of your life. You're gonna make $150K a year. I was like, that's my best option. I was like, I don't want to be a doctor. I've always wanted to be an actor since I was a kid. I wanted to create. I wanted to do things that I love, that make me happy, bring me joy. And I just remember looking at that, and I'm like, I could probably fail at that too. Right. I'd rather fail at what I want to do, or at least try. I'm already okay not having much, if anything. So I just packed up, moved to LA, and kind of started chasing the dream. But it was that line of, I don't want to be anybody else but myself.
Yeah.
And the only version of me I want to be is the best version I can be. So I'm going to keep trying to evolve and grow as a human, even creatively, and pushing the boundaries. And it's just like, when you do that, there is a freedom in that. There is and you're talking about tapping into the divinity, right?
Yeah.
You get to create on a higher level, because I'm not doing this to be competitive with somebody else.
Right.
That's what we have. We have these two lines of, there's competitive and there's creative. Competitive, you can only be as good as the other person or a little bit better.
Yeah.
Creative, you make your own path.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Bar. Bar. No, that's real good.
But everything you're saying is incredible, and it's inspiring, and it's exciting to meet you and hear your mindset with this, and it translates to your music, and you can see that and you can feel that, you know. And speaking on all of that, for me, I'd love to know how you define success as an artist, as a creator.
Very good. How do I define success? I think I define success as a creator as this is something that I've always known, but I've learned that. I've learned this past year, the past like year and a half, is I've always talked about I come from great community, and I always talk about love and joy and how that's like so important and essential. But as you I don't know, go up the ladder, as you achieve as you go to the next dimension, that's what I'll say. Because it's like, when are you, I don't know, declared successful? You know,
Right.
It's like, as you go from dimension to dimension, you know, it's important to, you know what, we always talk about, I want to you know, be the best version of myself, and I'm not that person anymore. But there's certain things about that person that you need to keep, you know, with
Sure.
you, you know, like the sense of community and protecting even, you know, the people that you love or that you create with, you know, even sometimes you got to protect them from themselves, protect yourself from you know, from yourself. But I think that's so important, and I feel the most successful when I am creating with the people that I love, and the best music, not just music, but anything creative, anything that I do, usually the best outcome is from coming from like a place of love and safety and community and just us having fun. It's, you know, just have fun. And as soon as you lose that, or if you feel like you're starting to if you feel like there's a monkey wrench that's been thrown in, you know, to some things that you already know, you know, it's very important to take a step back and do the things that you need to do so that you can protect that space. Because the reason why you got there is because of, you know, everything was built off of that foundation, you know. The stem and root was love. The stem and root was just love and a sense of community. And I know that is the reason why I'm able to sit here and talk to you guys about it, is because, you know, when I didn't believe in myself, there was people that were loving on me and showing me, no, you know, this is who you are. No, you can do this. We can do this. We're going to do it. We're not next. We're now, you know, like just so much love. And when you have that, I think that's true success. That's real success, you know? So I want to hold on to that for dear life and do whatever I have to do to make sure that's protected, because I know I'm the illest version of myself when that is full, you know? Yeah. Just don't, this isn't a part of the question, but just don't chase after the things that, you know, destroy you, you know, feast from, there's a fridge that is full, feast from that fridge, you know, your father's fridge, like the space of joy and abundance and love, like go wherever that is. And it's funny because, I think working out too, sorry, I'm going on a tangent now. It's
Totally
not
good.
even a part of what you asked for.
Hey, this is what it's all about.
Like,
This is what it's all about. Keep going. We're listening.
I work out, but like I work out dance. I'm a dancer, so usually that's my form of working out. But this past year, I've been just working so hard on like, the capacity has been stretched. Cool, needed that. But while that was happening, I started feeling a little isolation against what I was talking about, like the community, the love, all the things that got me there in the first place. And what helped me to get back to that, just that knowing is going to Soul Cycle. And
that's awesome.
I started working out. I was like, I need to switch something up. And I got in there and it's like, this isn't even a workout class. Like this is it feels like a spiritual awakening, a spiritual journey.
Yeah.
Like literally last
They're
week.
bumping music in there.
Oh my God, yeah. And like my
They take you to church in there.
listen, they do. They
yeah.
do. The instructor, I'm like, are you sorry.
I thought Justin was right there.
No, like the instructor, I'm like, are you a motivational speaker or like, are you a fitness coach? I'm confused. But no, so good. Last Wednesday, I was in there and I woke up on the wrong side of the bed and it was just gonna be one of those days, and like got in there, got up anyway again because discipline is freedom, and like was in it. The tears started flowing. It was really dark in there. I was like, word, no one can see me. But by the end of it, I was back on the right side. I felt good, and it helped me to, even though I don't know anyone in there, it just the way that we're all there for each other, and we're like we're in this together, like just that sense of community. I'm like, I gotta let me call my best friend. Let me call, because my producers are my best friends too. Let me call them. Like we're not just getting up to like make a song today. Like, let's go eat, let's go chill, let's go have fun and just enjoy each other. Like, how's your heart?
Dude, I had a very, very similar experience with running, right?
Yeah.
I started to run like a mile or two after lifting, and then it was 3 miles, and then it was 5 miles, then it was 7 miles.
Yeah.
And then I started doing half marathons. And then just that runner's high was like so addicting.
Yeah.
And I love how you're describing all that. Like, you feel free, you feel more creative, like you're tapped in, you're feeling good. And then I ran on super random, but on Kobe's memorial service. I ran from West Hollywood to Staples Center, and it was about 10 miles. And I felt connected to everyone there, right? Because there were people there, like gathered, and, even if you weren't inside for the service, there was still people there. Yeah. And it was like this crazy combination of like community, connection, and runner's high. And then I Ubered home, of course. I can't walk that back. But yeah, it's great. We definitely talk about fitness a ton, and how amazing it can be, and how essential it is.
Yeah. No, so good.
Yeah, I obviously. I mean, sometimes obviously, sometimes not.
Obviously,
I work out a little bit. Know a thing or two.
Late to the party, but like you guys, listen, you had to figure it out. You guys got to figure it out. I'm like, oh my God, I have to stay here.
You're welcome here anytime.
I mean, we always say this, but the view is just unreal, even though we don't ever show it to the audience. Sorry, guys. But yeah, no, like for me too, music has been so important, crucial in my life. And you talk about, community. It's like, there's no, I feel, better way to connect with people, with, yourself, than listening to the right music at the right time. Or, it's just like, it's saved my life. There's been music that has literally saved my life, in dark times. And, I'm curious how you could describe your art and its importance to people, to the world.
Yeah, no, that's good. I think the importance of it, for me, I feel as though I definitely feel like there's a weight on my shoulders now that I've accepted, accepted what it is that I'm here to do, what I need to say. I can't just write about anything anymore. And I feel that it's a part of my duty. I think it's every artist's duty, to be honest. But I take the responsibility on to like just hope, Like when growing up, like how you said, music saved your life. I felt like there was hope that was given to me just from a lot of the artists that I was like following and listening to, whether I could like fully understand what they were saying or not. Because, you know, when you're a kid, like you listen to things when you're an adult, you're like, oh, wow, like, whoa, that's what they really meant. So I think that it's really important for me to give hope back to the next generation that's coming. And when I say hope, that's like a loaded word. It sounds like, oh yeah, hope back to the people, but it's actually really heavy, you know, because I have a few different reasons. Hope in terms of just work ethic, you know, and just showing up, like even when it comes to like rehearsals and preparing for a show or going into like write a song, you know, like taking it very serious, you know, and practicing, you know. It took, usually when people hear a song or they see a show, it's not anything that I just wrote out of bed and oh, I made that song and now we're here and we're performing it. No, like we've taken a year or like a year and a half to create the music, and then we carefully go and we, you know, create the show and the idea around whatever the song is about, you know, conceptually. Like we take your time with it, like be obedient to the art, you know. So I think that is very important, and something that I want to just, you know, use my life, you know, or my music as just a stage of just to like reflect that, you know. So hoping that way, and then making songs for, as I was saying earlier, just like the underdog, the people that don't feel seen, that don't feel heard, to just restore confidence, you know, and allow them to just like hear their thoughts and make sense of them. And also to show that it's not just like, you know, you might see something and it looks perfect, but I always say, like, don't get it.
You're okay.
Don't get it fucked up, guys. I have makeup on right now. You know, I have a couple extensions in. I got dressed today, you know. But you know, I have scars underneath here, just like everyone else does, you know. And the only difference that for me now is that I'm not afraid to talk about it. I'm not afraid to I'm not trying to cover it all up and look perfect. It's like, no, just tap in, you know, tap into yourself, and it's okay to be flawed, because honestly, usually, like I said earlier, whatever it is that you think is working against you is gonna be working for your highest good in the end. But I think it's really important for people like me and other artists to take one for the team and show people the way, show them that, you know, it's not all perfect, and it's not. It's stop making things look so easy. Just make it real, you know. And so in the songs, you know, I talk about that a lot. And it's also like I have like that Are You Not Entertained record. I remember when I played it, Love Ted, the people from my label, they were like, it sounds angry. I'm like, no, it's not angry. It's sometimes you gotta get a little angry to like believe in yourself. Sometimes it's just an emotion. Sometimes you gotta like,
there's healthy anger.
Yeah, just fight through it. It's just affirming that, no, I can do this. I am the one for the job, you know? And that's what all of my music, not just that song, but all of the music really represents. And I know that we also live in a day and age where people, or not just in a day and age, but no one wants to feel like they're being preached to. I know I didn't either. I sometimes, or in the past, I've had issues with authority. So, so you don't want to feel like you're being preached to. But I think as creatives, as artists, I've been, blessed with the gift of like songwriting and stuff, and it's important to bring the message, the higher message, to the people, but you have to deliver it in like a veil, right? It has to, so that it's palatable for them to even receive it.
Yeah.
Like people hear my music and they're like, I don't know whether I want to catch the Holy Spirit or if I want to twerk. Like, I don't know what I'm feeling right now. What the hell is happening to me?
For sure.
And I did that with intention, like I did that on purpose. So
you mentioned songwriting, right? And this isn't a name dropping story, okay, for everyone listening.
But
Frank Sinatra told me never to name drop, so no, I'm kidding. So I've seen like the writing process and the creation process. We were in the studio with Quavo and Morton Brum multiple times, right? Morton's a DJ, Quavo's a hip hop artist. I was with The Game and DJ Quick in the studio, seeing how they work. And it's like fascinating to me to watch talented artists create, right? Any type of artist, right? And there was a lot of like improvisation, right? What's it like when you're in the studio? Do you create a lot of that and like on the spot when you're feeling it? Do you like writing more? Like, what is your style in that sense?
My style is everything's from scratch. I like to create from scratch for sure. And usually it starts with everything's melody driven for me, because I believe that music is universal. And at the end of the day, not everyone speaks English, but what they can identify as a feeling. The melody is so and so important. They're not going to even listen to what you're saying or even get into the lyrics if they can't follow the feeling, And one thing that all humans understand and know is a feeling. You can't fake a feeling. Period.
Morton described it that way too, dude.
But
Morton
no,
said
I was being funny there. I was being
No, it's great. It's great.
Can't fake a feeling. So I start with the melody. Usually I'm on a shirt like this sometimes, and I'm just like laying down, and I'll just start singing off of like a guitar riff that Jackson may do, or Vanessa's like playing the keys. Like I'll just start singing or mumbling like raps or whatever, and I'll record them, and then sometimes like a hook will just come straight, off the dome, and then we'll record that, and then we'll go back in on the verses and cut up different melodies that I've laid down, and then I'll add lyrics to it afterwards. But I always start with melody first, and I always usually 95% of the time I start from scratch, because I think that it's really important for as you know, I'm a spiritual person. This whole conversation has basically been that. I think that usually it's important. You got to not be careful, but you just have to be specific on, who you create with, because whatever they're coming in with, that melody, that song, it has a spirit attached to it, So and just the frequencies of it all, and I'm sensitive to that. So it's like, no, I want to come in, I want to create a safe space, and I want everyone to come in and feel free and start creating from a space from the same wavelength. Like we're all on the same vibe in here for the most part, as long as we, have some coffee and we like catch up before we get into it. But I think that that is the reason why I create from scratch, and just the best stuff comes from being in the room.
Yep.
Technology, it's amazing. I love it. I use it. But being detached, from like humans and just sending things through the internet, through the computer is just, it's good. It works, but I don't know. I just find that the best art, the best music comes from when we can touch each other, and when we can actually feel each other. And the producer's watching me, and he's the next chord is based off of what I just did, or the vibe and the feeling that he caught from me, whether I didn't say anything, and I just like moving around. Yeah. He's like, oh well, okay, we're going here. Yeah. So it's all. I like to create from scratch.
Love that.
With my people, and melodies are very important, and then lyrics are too. Bars. Those are important too.
Oh yeah, thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned vulnerability, and one of my favorite lessons. I feel life is a series of lessons that we learn. A part of it, anyways. One of my favorite ones. I was working with Tyler Perry, gave me my first job ever in acting, and he said after we wrapped our first season of our show, he said, you have to live in your truth, and he repeated it over and over again with everyone that was there. And yeah, man, I feel like it hit me harder than everyone at that moment, because it goes back to that quote of bring your own uniqueness to the world, right?
Yeah.
Where it's being able to be vulnerable, be open, live in your truth, be real with yourself. It's not about putting that shield up and protecting yourself and being a warrior. It's about laying that shield down and being able to talk about what's really going on and what hurts. And I feel the best artists are able to tap into that. They're able to be free and speak about the things that really matter. And especially in today's day and age, I think what people want more than ever, and they're becoming more aware of, is authenticity. And if you're lacking authenticity, we're starting to be able to smell it out, and it's not translating. It's not, because I feel also people are waking up at a larger scale, and so they'll be able to see through everything. And it's really good to hear that you're in that space, and that's a path that you're taking, that you want to share that vulnerability, you want to share that realness with people, that no matter what point you're at in the stage, it can be a struggle, it can be hard, Yeah. But those are what make us stronger, right? Make us better, make us better creators. And I'm curious, have you had a lot of struggle with getting to that stage that you're at now with vulnerability? Has it been difficult, or is it just...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's also not just for me, but for a lot of us. I think usually you're just regurgitating whatever you saw, in your home, or and sometimes, like obviously, like our parents, they did the best that they could, and for me, in my experience, my parents were amazing. Like I couldn't ask for better parents, but they're still human, and the men in my family they're bring me porridge, bring me this, and they're just dominant personalities, and that's great, and it worked out for me too, in terms of just what the lessons that I learned in terms of just like, not taking no for an answer, and not being aggressive, but being assertive in terms of like, what you believe in, and fighting for the things that you believe in, and confidence and all of that. Yeah. But the flip side of that is what you were saying. True strength, true courage. It's especially, at least in the past, it's always been harder for men, to be courageous enough to be vulnerable, and coming up in a world where, as a woman, like I'm supposed to just be vulnerable, right? But I haven't been vulnerable because of what I was taught, and it's definitely saved me more than anything else. But I think that was a big lesson, I would say, for me, is to, if you're calling yourself, if you're an artist and the artists that you've looked up to, they were all, like you said, standing tall in their identity, in their truth. They were open, they were honest, even when the truth was a little ugly, and those are the ones that stand out from the rest. And so as soon as I did that, that's when, as soon as I did the work to, just just be a little bit more open, to figure out why I was that way in the first place. I think that's when my life started to fulfill me. I started to feel more fulfilled, and I could receive love for real. So yeah. So I think that if I didn't figure that out, I would have been just walking blindly, into situations that didn't serve me. I would have continued to do that over and over and over, and just it wouldn't have been nice. It really wouldn't have been nice. But yeah. So I don't know if you want like specific
No, I mean,
specific things, but
No,
I'm like,
whatever,
that's
whatever.
the icing on the cake right there. As soon as I got a little bit more courage to tell the truth is when I think I became a better person.
That's awesome. I think it's infinitely more terrifying to be courageous, to be vulnerable, than it is, to be tough and to hide behind that wall, and build that moat around you and make sure no one can get in. It's easy to push people out, and keep yourself protected, but being open is like, it's scary.
Mm-hmm.
It is scary,
Yeah.
But I think, again, I love how you keep tapping into that divinity, right? So it's just, it gives you that space to surrender to it, right? To listen to what's actually being called for you, what you're supposed to hear and say and share through you. You're a vessel that's meant to do great things and share great things with the world. So it's exciting to be in your presence.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
I want to add to what you just said. I think it's so important to be vulnerable, but I do think for the folks who are still trying to, feel their way through, you can only be vulnerable with yourself, be vulnerable with, the people that love you, with God, like in meditation and in prayer. Like prayer and meditation is the real, that's your transportation for real, because if you're still, if you're being vulnerable with that version of you that kind of created those toxic spaces, you might not be a safe space for you to open up and try to find yourself.
Absolutely.
It's like maybe you need to back away, go be with people who love you. And I do understand that not everyone comes from whatever, the perfect family where they have their mom or their dad in their lives. But if you really, really look and do the work to sit and be quiet, and you weren't left alone, whether it was a teacher or whether it's a friend or, a parent of a friend, like usually a lot of us are like, well, I don't have anyone to talk to, or like, I've never had anyone, get that. And I know, and I'm sure that that's extremely hard, but there's so much, there's a community out there for you. And usually everything you need, you already have, so, if you're gonna open up, just make sure that it's with someone that you identify as like, okay, when I'm around this person, I feel safe. I feel like I can be free and be open enough to tell the truth and be myself, that's important.
Absolutely. That's an incredible point. And, that's, if you open up with the wrong people, that's definitely something to bring to awareness, is people will use that against you, right? They'll take advantage of that vulnerability and you can end up getting hurt because of that. So that's a very great point. So yeah, thanks for saying that.
Yeah, man. That's all I got.
No, it's great. I love hearing it. It's so fun talking with, creative people. And I really do think like creativity comes in all forms, right?
Yeah.
And if you're an architect, you're creative, right? Like all these different things, but music specifically, like there's something about it that, like everything you said about melody and all that, and, Brock talking about music being healing, right? And like, I can't work out without music, and working out is like the healthiest, best thing I do for myself, right? And like, why is music involved? I don't know. Because it's healthy, because it's good, because it's rhythmic and beautiful and expressive, right? It's
Yeah, music is love.
Do you have any like I envision myself working with certain people or creating a certain type of film that reaches a certain amount of people, right? Or vision these like kind of goals for myself. Do you have that? Do you have a place you want to end up, or are you just fully in the journey, you know, or is it, do you want to work with, you know, XYZ producers, artists, you want to collab? Like, do you have that all mapped out?
Yeah, for sure. I have everything written down.
That's good.
Over and over and over. I'm definitely one of those folks who believe in like the power of manifestation, you know. And producers and artists. I really want to work with James Blake. I know we would make something stupid.
Hell yeah.
He's amazing. James Blake. I really love Rosalia. She's an artist that I think is doing exactly what the world needs right now. I do believe every 10 or 20 years, you know, there's an artist that come along that changed the sound of the next 10 or 20 years. You know, like when The Weeknd came on, it was a sound that, you know, no ears have heard before, eyes hadn't seen it, ears haven't heard it. You know, he came in, and then like now the new trend was to kind of like, you know, make music like that, right? I think Rosalia is doing that now, and it's a breath of fresh air. She performs her ass off. I know that we speak the same language, so that would be cool. Rosalia, and then outside of music, I'm also a designer. I make jewelry and clothes.
Ask you about that next, yeah.
I haven't released the clothes yet, but the jewelry is what's out.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah, so it's FOP, which means for other people, for our people, meaning like we are not foreign, like we're all one and the same. And the jewelry was just created honestly in the beginning it was a need for me, you know, to just express myself, because I'd go to stores and I'm like, I can't find anything that looks like me. So I went and I started, you know, making clothes and jewelry, and made like a uniform that was a reflection of who I am and my music. And so that's where it derives from. But the cool thing, though, that I do love about the fashion side of things is I really want to be able to show everyone that a lot of times we need to, you know, if we go to a store, you go to, let's say, a Zara, you look at the mannequin, people don't know how to form their own opinions, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So you have to show them, no, you can do it too, then this is how you do it, right? And I remember when I first created these pieces specifically, it was like an aunt or like a friend, and they were like, oh, because one day I wore it, they were like, oh, it's kind of gothish, and I'm like, no, maybe that's just how you're interpreting it, because you see the piece just on the mannequin without clothes and all that jazz. So I did a fashion show that Vice covered, and I dressed a 75-year-old little cute blonde lady from like Brooklyn. She's so sweet, and she flew here to do it, and dressed her in full FOP attire. And then all of a sudden, it wasn't goth anymore. It was classy, and it was because it was on a older older woman that seemed to be, respectful and esteemed and all that. So it's really perception, and people just you just have to show them how to do it, So I like to show folks how to style it. Like, you can put this same piece on with a blazer, and like a dress pants or a skirt and some heels, and now you can, I don't know, you can go to the office, you know, or you can throw this on with a little bustier and and some baggy pants, and now it's a little more fly and streetwear ish, or you can throw on like an oversized tee to you know. So it just depends. You make it unique to you. You know,
it's kind of like a Rolex. It goes with anything.
Anything, and that's for the clothes too. As in terms of the clothes, the only thing what I am going to release is the uniform that everyone sees me in all the time. It's like these. It's either like these black tees or just like a black tank and blazer with pants that kind of are open and flare in the back. So that's going to be like the first rollout, but that is not out yet.
And then we're going to put the link in the description for everyone out there.
Yeah.
Where can people find it?
Yeah, FOP7.com.
Okay.
Spelled out FOP7SEVEN.com.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
7, the letters, not the number.
Yeah. Like
Awesome.
the continents.
One last thing that I'm curious about is when I went to go chase my dream, I had a group of friends and family as well. And that's when I learned the quote, which I kept losing friends. And I love quotes. I love things that can kind of just stick with me at different parts of my life. But it was, if you're not losing friends, you're not growing, right? And sometimes that's a sad thing, you know, and you get attached, but like you're saying, the old version of yourself, right? So I was growing, and then I was finding, oh, this is who I'm supposed to be with now. And then you grow again, and then you go again, and then all of a sudden you end up kind of where you're supposed to be, but it's not the end, right? We still got life to live, right? And who knows where you're going to end up and where you're going to go. But what I found when I went to go chase my dreams, and I lived in this area, which it could be anywhere in the world, really, it's just people. A lot of people doubted, right? There's a lot of naysayers, a lot of people that were like, you can't do that. You know, only this guy can do that, or that's never going to happen, or, you know, whatever it was things that can get in your head very easy, you know? And I think the blessing of moving around so much is that I had no stability technically. So I was like, well, I don't need to fit into this box because I'd have never had a box to be in, you know?
Right.
So I just went and chased it. But once I started making things happen, you know, the family members, the friends, then they started supporting, right? And then they started believing. Has that been similar in your path, or has there been, you know, have you had a constant support the whole time? Or have you seen, you know, you've kind of changed friends in certain areas of your life, or garnered new ones that are more in line with your dreams and visions and goals and everything like that? Has that been something like that for you?
For sure. And both. I definitely came from a very supportive background, not just like, we had a village. Thank God I had a village. My mother, my father, all my uncles. I got a million uncles, and we were all like one big immediate family. So I had a lot of support there. But while it was beautiful and I'm so thankful for the support, I was very green when I went out into the world, because I was shown, okay, this is what love looks like, and this is how you love others, and so that's what I went out and did. But you know, I didn't get that. I would say, you know, in return, because you know, sharing. I was sharing my pearls with the wrong people. You know, if that makes any sense. You know, so I learned the hard way for a while with that, you know, because whatever, I've spent my whole life learning how to show up and how to live, how to love on others, you know. It took a while to not necessarily unlearn it, but just to learn where to share it, where to share it, you know. And
I relate a lot to that, actually,
okay,
for
yeah.
sure. I'm not trying to cut you off at all. No. I'm just saying, like, I think that's a valuable lesson. Like, even my mom would always say I'm like too trusting of people, right?
Yeah.
And like you kind of find out the world is a crazy place. A lot of good people, a lot of bad people, but you know, you try to navigate it the best you can.
Yeah.
And like you said, you don't want to unlearn the love. You just kind of need to adapt into like be a little more protective of yourself and make sure, right? Kind of
Yeah. I think that's really important, and I think people don't say that enough, because I know that again, I'm not, insensitive to the fact that there's some people who didn't have, a strong, support system growing up. So, you sometimes you want to like shy away from that because you think that, maybe, okay, yeah, I went through this, but it's not as like, this person might not think it is as bad as that, So, but I do think that it's important to touch on all of it, because if not, you can end up getting swallowed up and then, lose all your values and gain like a cold heart.
Seen it happen.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. So that's like so important. But in terms of, I want to speak on another aspect too, like having so much support from my family, and then not only that, like my family has a sports background, and everyone was like, my uncle was the first guy to cover Sports Illustrator coming out of high school in basketball.
Oh, wow.
So like they're all, yeah, so go out and carry this horse, like go be great, and there was a lot of it. Love you, Dad and Mom. They probably, hopefully, them say it. But like it. While it was good, sometimes it was just like, okay, will I ever be good enough? Mm-hmm. And I think that ended up, I ended up leaning into that fear as I got older. Like, oh my God, like, will I ever be good? Am I good enough? I have to work, so hard to be like, whatever, half as good as, whatever they did and all that jazz, and, want to make them proud. And when you lean into those fears, again, sometimes you, when you're loving on the wrong people, sharing your pearls with the wrong people, they'll take advantage, of understanding that weakness, and then they might see something in you. They're like, damn, like you wake up like this, but you don't see it. So I'm just gonna like, fucking, tear you down a little more, so that we can both stay right here. So I think it's just really important for just everyone to just be sensitive to those things. And yeah, that's how I feel about that. But definitely struggled with I don't know, not feeling loved or seen by the people that I thought were friends. And like you said, as soon as like, they counted you out, and then as soon as it starts looking like it's like working, now everyone's like showing up. Right. It's like,
yeah, are they really there when you need them the most?
Yeah. But it's all good, because before I got here, like I'm armed now. I'm armed with authority over, again, with my own identity, armed with a revelation of who I am. So it's like you can come and, swinging if you want to, but if the giants are there, it's because like you're meant to slay them. Like you're the one for the job. Like you can actually slay them if they're there in the first place. And if people are making noises, it's probably because you're doing something right,
Amen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think you have something we got to get you to, so I don't want to make you late to the next engagement.
It's 3:36.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
this is fun. We were just chatting.
This
is great.
what are you gonna ask? Like, what do you got coming up? Like,
that was it. I mean, well, he just did. So what do you got coming up?
We can cut that.
No, it's good. No, it's cool. It's cool. I think it's funny. No, I like how it is.
Yeah. Coming up, just releases. They're back here boxing, y'all. Oh wait, this is on camera. They can see.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, there will be audio versions outside.
Okay.
A little context. It didn't hurt too bad. It's fine.
Releases, songs. Yes. I'm releasing songs. I have some shows coming up. I'm going to be doing I haven't announced this yet, but I'm doing a Art Basel, which I'm so excited about.
Congratulations.
Doing Art Miami with this artist named Risk. super, super, super dope. He's like a, a tagger or whatever, but he's
I've
like
seen his stuff.
lit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's going to be in his artist mode, painting and tagging up like this sculpture that he created. And I'm going to be performing right in front with like, I told him I don't want to stage because I wanted to feel interactive and that's what we do. We like to create the circle, the are you not entertained vibes? So we're gonna do that. And that's gonna be really cool. So I'm excited about that. That's December 5th. So I start rehearsals for that actually on Monday. Just shows and the releases of like these next 5 or 6 songs. I have an album that is 2 seconds away from getting completed. It's basically the final thought of the It Wasn't Luck EP. So the album is going to be called It Wasn't Luck, the album.
That's awesome.
And
When's that coming out? You working on it?
yeah, I'm working on it next year.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Cool.
next year. But
Not too far.
Yeah. So I'll be dropping records up until then.
And the Instagram is I Am Luck.
Yeah.
At I Am Luck.
I Am Luck at I Am Luck. And yeah, FOP7, pull up on us on the gram or on the internet.
On the web.
And check it out.
Hell yeah. Thank you so much for coming. This was awesome.
Thank you guys for having me. This is really cool, and I love what y'all are doing. Thanks for opening up your space and allowing people like me to, share my story and just my perspective. These podcasts, they really help me. They help all of us. So kudos to you guys for your yes, because you can have an idea, but some folks don't, see it all the way through. So it's really nice when people have a yes in their heart, a yes spirit and you're obedient to whatever is put on your heart. Yeah. So that's really dope. And keep going. And I'm just glad that I got to, be a part of it.
Thank you so much. That's so sweet.
So are we. And we definitely, we wouldn't be doing this without people like you. And so we appreciate you coming on, and everything you shared was amazing, and I can't wait to re-listen to this.
Yeah, tight. Me too.
Right. Thanks.
Bye, y'all.
Thank you for watching Studio 22.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
And follow our socials at Studio 22 Podcast.